In our modern era of comic book readership, there's an epidemic that's rampant. Something that was rarely done in ages gone by, but something that is done literally all the time now. Originally because of readership demand for certain comic runs, this now applies to all comics published. I remember reading a post on the internet by someone a few years ago saying that this was the era of the paperback. And in many ways, that is right. In years past, paperbacks were not really done, only in the exception of a fantastic or legendary comic run. Readers would simply buy the back issues and read it through those methods. But in the modern era of comics, no one really wants to go to a comic store and sift through the boxes of back issues or go online and waste money trying to collect all the issues in that way. Rather, buy a paperback of all the collected issues of a comic arc or a writer's run on a particular comic. It saves the reader time, money, and effort. But it also makes the idea of collecting single issues useless. Marvel and DC, or even independent publishers now, literally reprint most of the single-issue comics or arcs in paperback format. Hard or soft cover for extra revenue and to make it more appealing for people to buy. But smart readers don't usually buy the single issues anymore and just wait for the paperback to come out. Looking at this issue long term, this does affect the publishers. If we were to count up all the people who buy single issues, for example, and those who wait to buy the collected comics in a paperback, the higher revenue comes from the single issues that are sold. Like I mentioned in a previous comic book discussion, comics don't sell anymore, and the publishers have to look to other means to even out profits and losses. It is good that paperbacks are made, but when people hold off buying single issues just to collect the entire run on a paperback, it does make the idea of buying single issues useless. I myself don't buy comics in single issues anymore. In the era of the paperback, it makes it worthless except for a few circumstances. Another fact of the modern era of comics is the concept of online comics. I may have mentioned this before in a previous comic book discussion where you don't buy comics at a store, but from the source. Marvel and DC and some independent publishers have an online function where you can pay a fee to read the comic at their website. I don't like the idea personally. Maybe it's because I like to read comics or even books. I like to hold it in my hands. I like to feel it. I don't like the fact that I have to read pages on a computer screen or click my computer mouse to turn a page. What happens if I want to look at the art detail on a certain comic panel on a page? Will there be a zoom-in feature? Would I be able to keep the comic once I bought it from the online store? No, from what I heard, you would not be able to quote-unquote keep the comic. You would be able to view it as much as you want in a select amount of time, but then it would expire. Like a lend-lease sort of thing. If you want to read it again, you would have to quote-unquote buy it again. What's odd is that younger readers are more open to the concept of online comics. This may be a generational issue because that's all they have known. Most older readers are not exactly keen on the idea. I do think that online comics are the future. It's unavoidable. Technically, online comics would save the publishers money with expenses saved like paper, ink, and other methods. If online comics do become the standard in the future, I sort of think that readers might be shanghaied because they would regulate all the prices and even what kind of content would be published. There's already a sort of online comic process being done right now. Some readers might buy a comic and scan it online for possibly thousands or millions of others to read and keep for free. This is a problem that the publishers will have to deal with forevermore, in my say. And I don't think that such a thing can be really regulated. Let us imagine a day where all comics are only released online. Who's to say some method won't come out so a person can rip or scan a comic illegally off a website and put it up for free through file share websites for others to see. How could that be stopped? It can't. I do know for a fact about the future of comics that it is uncertain.